I'm rolling. Hi, everybody. This is Jeremy Thomas, part of Naya's Family Collective, and I just wanted to say hi to everybody and really I'm excited to start talking about the things that Naya has helped us remember. The one of the things that is I haven't even got to tell Naya about. I think I might have on our last conversation, but I don't think I did. But one of the things I really wanted to tell her about was she had, when I first started listening to her and studying her, and then I was lucky enough to get to talk to her, and she kind of read me on the phone, and she said, you were brought here. Gaia called you from the first atom bomb. When the first atom bomb was hit, a call was sent out into the universe from Hiroshima. Well, that was interesting to me, and then maybe a month went by, and I was with my grandma, and I started talking to my grandma about my Uncle Frank, and all of a sudden all these memories came back that I totally remembered and talk about all the time, but hadn't put them in the context of what Naya told me. And so it turns out that my Uncle Frank, who was one of the most loving loving men in the world, he was born in Greenville, Michigan, and he at the time the World War II broke out, and he felt a duty to his country. And a lot of the young men and back in that era, they just wanted to do something. Quite honestly, I think life was so boring for them, and just the thought of going to see another country, whether you got to kill or not, I don't think they cared. They just wanted out. I know that was for my grandfather and for my Uncle Frank. So Uncle Frank ended up in the Navy, and he was on the U.S. destroyer Indianapolis. Now, the story goes, the Indianapolis dropped the atom bomb off. It was a secret mission. Obviously, none of the sailors knew they were dropping the biggest bomb that had ever been dropped in the history of the world. That they were bringing this bomb to Japan. So they brought the bomb to Japan, and then on the way back, they were I don't know, I think they were about 2,000 miles or 1,000 miles off the coast of Hawaii in the South Pacific, and a Japanese sub sunk the ship. Now, the sailors, there was 1,100 sailors on the ship, and they were all covered in oil. They were floating, and they got some life rafts, and a few of them survived. My Uncle Frank was one of them. They had been attacked by sharks. Their skin was literally coming off of their bodies because of the sun and the oil on their skin when they found them. But Uncle Frank survived, and he became an amazing guy. And in fact, when I was 1.5 years old, I don't really even remember, but I've heard this story a million times. I was sent to Michigan with my mom, basically because my dad and her were fighting. So every day I would play in the backyard. Uncle Frank lived across the field, and one day he says, "Hey, Jeremy," and I had never walked, and I just got up and I ran all the way to him. So they said I never walked, I ran, and which was always kind of cute for me. I like that little pump. But Uncle Frank and me had a real connection our whole life, and and then we get to, well, another cool part about that story was that my grandma, who loved Uncle Frank, obviously, they thought he was dead. They had had a missing in action letter sent to them, and a telegram, and they had never gotten a telegram. And basically, 3 months later, he pulls up and shows up in their front yard. And so what a miracle that was. So anyways, here you have this amazing man, this man that I can tell you throughout the rest of his life had about 3 or 4 spiritual experiences where his best friends, his spirits would come to him, and he'd be on a roof of a house, and Jesus would show up next to him, stuff like that. He was an amazing guy, great, great heart. He was actually the guy that delivered the atom bomb. The fact that my lineage comes through that story, it only makes perfect sense when you look at it from that 5th dimensional perspective, because obviously this man that I must have known, one of my pub friends, my Uncle Frank, he ends up choosing to be the bad guy so that I could come and help, or whatever the story is. There's a coinky-dink there. There's a very good coincidence there. A beautiful one at that. One that makes me feel proud that Gaia loves me and that she knows that I'm here for her and that I came for her to help heal the wounds. So that was one of my favorite stories about what Naya told me. She had no idea about my uncle. She had no idea about all this stuff. So, it's very cool. Since I've been, it's hard to practice every day being the creator God, but it's actually not hard either. And that's how life is. Like, it's simple and complicated, but little things keep happening to me. Little things keep popping up where the other day I'm going to a gig, and I've been helping my father move and painting his house for him. And so my mind, I'm not really thinking about myself. I'm thinking about others. But, I still have to go to work and do my job. Well, of course, I forget the one simplest thing in the world, but the most important thing, a guitar pick. Now, it's so funny, I always think about this, how guitar picks are like this little tiny piece of plastic, and I have a $2,000 guitar and all of the equipment to go around it, but if I don't have that guitar pick, I can't play the show. So it's just really funny little metaphor for me. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna walk down the street. I know another buddy of mine's playing a gig, and I play at that place every now and then, and I'm going to get a pick from him. Well, I get there and he's not there. And I said to myself, okay, well, one of your picks is laying in the corner of that stage. And I walk over, and sure enough, my little orange pick is sitting there from a month ago. I left it there a month ago, must have. I haven't played that place in a month, and it was my pick, I know. So anyway, that was a nice little creator God moment. Well, that same day, I had put on this cool t-shirt that I really like. These are all really funny little trivial things, no big deal. I can go big deal, but this is, I just think it's more fun to have fun. So I have this t-shirt on. It's one of my favorite rock and roll t-shirts by this band called Saigon Kick, and they're a Florida band, and they're nostalgia to me. So I put on this shirt. I'm going to work, and I'm thinking on the way to work, well, I'm going to go live on Facebook tonight, and there's this talk show host in our town named Mike Calta, and he's one of my favorites, super funny guy. And I thought, Mike's going to see my shirt and finally put a live comment, and he's going to say, awesome shirt or something like that. Well, through the pick incident and then getting to my gig that day, I kind of forgot about it. And but then, of course, like all of a sudden in the middle of the set, I'm going to go live. So I go live, and I'm playing along, and all of a sudden I look, Mike Calta pops up, and he goes, nice Saigon Kick shirt. So... And I started laughing immediately. I jumped in the camera and I go, oh my God, Manifest Destiny, I knew you were gonna say that. So, you know, in other words, you know, I feel like when I am not necessarily living for myself with all these thoughts of okay, I got to do this and then I got to do that and then, oh man, I got to really take care of this over here and I got to take care of that over there, and I just kind of live. I just kind of just live, and I go, you know, I help my dad, and I, you know, that's to me is living. You know, that's being, you know, close to him and creating a new place for him to create the rest of his life. And you know, when I don't force it, in other words, and I just say, well, this is going to happen, you know. And I don't really actually, you know, don't put a lot of worry behind if it happens or not. I'm not going to be heartbroken or anything, but, you know, it happens. And it's been happening a lot. Like right now, I just looked up and it said 11/11, so boom, there's another one. Anyway, it's been happening a lot more since I've been a part of this collective of people. I don't know all of you, but I love Naya so much in the last 3 months that we've got to know each other, and she's a friend of yours, then you're a friend of mine, and I hope we get to all communicate a lot more, talk about the things that are really important to us. I guess the only thing I want to leave you guys with on this is if you have any questions, just like you asked Naya, I would love an opportunity to give my Creator God's perspective of what you're going through. I have a pretty traumatic past in my own right, but at the same time I've been able to get past it and move into the now and be just more of a forgiving and compassionate person. And Naya's taught me, I have some little different techniques than the way that she uses, but she's taught me so much. And the main thing is to always, you know, believe in yourself as the creator of your life. And that's allowed me to also imagine a fifth dimensional perspective from things. It's almost like in psychology when they talk about be the fly on the wall, and you have to have that different perspective, and you can have that from not just a personal interpersonal perspective of one little conversation. You can have that from the entire creation of the Milky Way, and maybe even, well, obviously further than that, but you know, the Milky Way is enough for me right now. But I love you guys, big hugs, and I can't wait to see your comments. If you like the video, there's a little button, I think, thumbs up, subscribe. You can also check out, I've got some music on here. I've got a ton more music. If you guys want to send me your emails addresses, I'll get you hooked up with some tunes. And anyways, much love. We'll see you soon. Bye.